So last time we did a very specific meditation, which was the just asking yourself, am I aware? Am I aware, and noticing what your answer was and what process you got to or you went through to get to your answer. Now, if you weren't here, that was last week or 2 weeks ago. And so if you were here, you saw some of the things that it actually brought up. And we had some very interesting, we had very interesting experiential people who commented on their experience. I'm not going to get into the specific experiences. But you can see how a simple question like, am I aware? And just sitting with that question can bring up certain experiences. One of the things that we can become aware of is objects that appear in our awareness. And there are certain objects like sensations or thoughts or emotions and feelings that we can be aware of. Okay. And there is an awareness that is aware of a sensation or a thought or an emotion. And so what we're going to do over these next 3 to 4 weeks or 5 weeks is essentially investigate specifically each one of these objects that can arise in awareness. The first one that we're going to do is sensations. Okay. This is the beginning of, finding your own embodied spirituality and really starting to embody this practice. Okay. Some people have difficult times perceiving the sensations in their body because they might be disembodied, or they might not like feeling their body. They might not like the sensations in their body. And that's perfectly fine, which is why we don't do this on session 1. And we do this after we found our resource, which the resource, as you remember, might be something that's outside of our body. Okay. And so if you have a difficult time feeling sensations in your body and your resource is something that's outside of your body, then the practice of finding your resource and doing titration with any part of your body that you feel comfortable with as feeling the sensation of your body. And it might be like your pinky finger or something like that. And slowly, then the practice would be for you to do a bit of titration between your resource and starting to feel the sensations in your body. Okay. Now we have 5 senses, so it doesn't have to be the sensation of touch. It could be what you're looking at, for instance. It could be the sensation of sight. It could be the sensation of sound. Sound might be a good entry point for you to start noticing what are the sensations that your body is perceiving in the moment. Okay. So we start with the 5 major senses, which are essentially sight, smell, taste, sound, and touch. Okay. And the meditation goes through each one of those senses. And essentially all it asks is, what are you noticing now from that sense? And then we shift from one sense to another. And then we do as our other practice did, which is essentially we see, can we coalesce all the senses together and just perceive sensory input from our five senses at once, simultaneously. Okay. Now, there's a quote here from Bessel van der Kolk, who's done a lot of work on trauma. Once you start approaching your body with curiosity rather than with fear, everything shifts. And so there's this concept of being curious, being absolutely curious about what is happening in the present moment, okay? So once we start approaching the body with curiosity rather than with fear, everything shifts. So being curious, for instance, even if you feel like, oh, I'm not really comfortable in my body, being curious, can you just be curious about like your like the tip of your pinky? Like, what does that feel like? Okay, as if you were investigating it for the first time, trying to investigate it from a sensory perspective only. Okay, so that your thoughts may emerge. That's perfectly fine. And when you notice maybe a thought emerges, like, oh, I don't really like my body, or whatever that thought might be, or I love my body, or it doesn't matter. And then you notice that's a thought. And you go back to the to your senses. All right. Deepak Chopra has a quote: "At every stage of spiritual growth, the greatest ally you have is your body. The greatest ally you have is your body." I've found that to be true myself, because I have entered the body through the senses. All right, and I took some notes here in terms of why the senses. First of all, the sense that you are experiencing right now, whatever sense it is, whether you're listening, touching, feeling, seeing, is the present moment. So what you are seeing right now is the present moment. What you are hearing right now is the present moment. So it's a gateway. Using your senses is a gateway to the present moment. All right. And if we are in the present moment, this can be a portal to the sacred. Using our body, coming to the present moment, through that, we have the experience of something sacred. Okay. There's no past or future experience of the sense that you are perceiving right now. For instance, what you are seeing right now is the moment. And so if you're like, oh, what am I paying attention to right now? Oh, I'm looking. This is what I'm seeing. Okay. This is also a really good practice because we have five senses. It's a really good practice to learn and start to become more comfortable with learning how to direct your attention. Okay. This beam light of where we choose to place our attention and notice what is happening. Okay. Because I can tell you or ask you, for instance, to pay attention to what you're hearing right now. And you'll probably shift something. You'll probably go back. You'll almost sense sort of, oh, I'm going to my ears. Right. And now pay attention to what you're tasting. Now, even if you're not eating, there's still a taste that your tongue is perceiving, but it wasn't perceiving it. You weren't aware of that when you were listening. Maybe you were if you're eating or drinking tea at the same time. Okay. And now what you're smelling. And so do you see how your attention is going? Okay. And remember the first exercise we did where we found two contact points and we tried to coalesce those contact points. We placed our attention on both those contact points simultaneously, and there was a bit of ping-ponging. And so when we do this practice, you might notice a bit of ping-ponging between the different senses, and then there may be a coalescing of the senses, all senses. Okay. So this is a really good practice because you can actually start to really learn how to direct your attention. I'm going to choose to pay attention to what I hear. Oh, wow. That's interesting. With curiosity. Right? I'm going to choose to pay attention to what I taste with curiosity, or even if your eyes are closed, with what I see. Okay. Or with what I'm feeling with touch. All right. Your entire body, right? All these senses are actually being integrated into your body. Your entire body is integrating these senses at once. And we can actually learn how to be aware of all the senses simultaneously, consciously, right? And through the body, because the body is living in the present moment, through the body, then we can enter this portal into presence, which then can be a portal into the sacred. Okay. So the other thing to notice is, for instance, how long does a sensation last for you? When you notice a sensation like a sound, maybe it's externally, maybe you're actually hearing something internal, maybe you're hearing something inside your body. Maybe you're actually hearing your heartbeat if your heart is beating loudly. Okay. How long does that sense last? If you feel something, let's say you feel some tension, some tightening or constricting in your shoulder or neck, just like what Gabriella said, she had this headache, right? She had this sensation of the headache. Did it last? Did that sensation last? No, that sensation actually went away. When we're in it, it might feel like it's going to last forever. But now she's here telling the story and it went away. It disappeared. So when we start to pay attention to the sensations that are occurring, what we start noticing is that, oh, wow, there is a constant stream of changing sensation. Okay. A lot of us are sort of attached to, really positive sensations. We go towards those. We spend a lot of money to have really positive sensations and resist negative sensations, like resist pain or discomfort or anything like that. Right? The purpose of this practice is to learn how to direct our attention to various sensations, to try to coalesce those sensations into one so that we're aware of our body as a whole, sensing, perceiving as this antenna, as well as understanding the constant nature of the senses. And then asking ourselves, well, if the senses are constantly changing, who or what is aware of the constantly changing sensations? And so the question is, through this practice, is who or what is aware of the constantly changing sensations that are occurring every moment to moment to moment to moment. Okay. So do you see how it goes from learning how to coming into the body, perceiving the senses of the body, learning how to hold all the senses simultaneously, being fully embodied, feeling your feet on the floor or on whatever support surface they're on, your legs on whatever they're being supported on, your back on whatever it's being supported on, your head on whatever it's being supported on. Even the sensation of how many people are actually noticing the sensation of the clothes on their skin. Oh, that's kind of neat. Didn't feel that, right? Can you notice the clothes over your shoulders and into your arms and your legs simultaneously? Right. With then this constant stream of changing of these sensations, with then asking, well, who is aware of this constant stream that is not changing, that is not affected by the constant stream of sensations? Okay. So that's going to be our meditation for today, and we'll go into it.